Okay, so Graham, 4 games into the season, Rovers are off to an absolute flyer. You've had a personal flyer, I suppose, in the season. Sort of how are you looking back now and on the first 4 games and how you have done?
Well, as for you saying, we've got off to a flyer. I think we have, 4 wins from 4, and then obviously, big game at the start of the season to end up getting the win, and then playing Cork, Cork probably in a transition period at this moment in time, and to come out of that game with a win, and then to go to Waterford, which is a tough game, and win that, and then obviously have the big game in Tallaght against Dundalk. But it's been a terrific start for us, and obviously, if you're saying on a personal level, it was a great start, but obviously to pick up a knock and be out for the next couple of weeks it's kind of frustrating, but you have to obviously get on with it and do your work to get back as quickly as possible, and that's what I'm doing. And
I suppose in terms of the knock that you picked up, like I was at that game against Cork, having scored your 5 goals, I mean, what part of the match did you suffer the injury? Because at one point I must have been typing away on something, and then the next minute you were sitting on the bench, and I thought, oh God, there wasn't a substitute. So what happened there?
Well, I kind of felt it during the first half, but it was kind of an issue that it wasn't really bothering me that much to where I couldn't run or I couldn't do anything physically in the game. But listen, I've played with little niggles and they've never been an issue, but this one was a little bit more of an issue to where I never really had muscle injuries to know the whole feeling of it. But I went on, and then obviously as I got the 5th goal after that, I was kind of thinking, listen, it's getting a little bit worse, that kind of way. And I looked up at the clock, and I probably wasn't worth risking the last couple of minutes of him running around, so I came off. I think we used most of our subs at the time, so I probably wasn't. That's probably why you didn't see a substitution. And then I woke up the next morning and felt kind of like a dead leg, so I knew from that pain on Friday to the pain on Saturday it was completely worse. So obviously I had a scan, and it turned up that I had a little tear in my calf.
Right, and do you know as of yet sort of how much longer you're going to be out for, or?
Probably only the next week or 2. Hopefully get on the pitch probably by the end of next week, early, probably going into probably the Derry game, maybe looking towards Finn Harps. But listen, we'll see how it heals first, and we'll take it day by day at this moment in time. How
much has the cup win back in November sort of inspired this start to the season for you guys?
It has obviously given us the confidence, and obviously we're trying to do something good, and it's breeding that hunger out of us in to try and be successful. To beat Dundalk in a cup final was great for us, it was great for the club, as in how long it was since they've gone without winning the FAI Cup. But listen, I think this Rovers started this well last year too, and obviously we can't get carried away with the start that we have. We have a tough game coming up against Sligo, and we go there with confidence, but knowing that it's going to be tough, and hopefully we can get some more points on the board going down there. But listen, it's been a great start, but obviously we are hungry and we are trying to be successful this season, and obviously it starts with winning the cup.
And of course, last day out as well, people are calling it already the game of the season against Dundalk, and you mentioned how good it was to beat Dundalk in the cup final. Having gone behind twice against Dundalk at home, it breeds the confidence, really, doesn't it, that you were able to still manage to come back in, and that Jack was able to put home a winner.
It shows the character of the squad to say, like, even we're down against such a great team like Dundalk, that we can always go and turn the game on its head. We done that on Saturday, and obviously people making it out as the biggest game of the season, which it probably was, because obviously all the people in the media and all build it up as in the 2 top teams that I think are going to be challenging for the league that year. We came out with the win, but we can't get carried away with it, because every game is tough in this league, and obviously we have the tough one going up with Sligo, but we won't be patting ourselves on the back. It's great to get the win, but we have to keep the momentum going.
And I suppose that's what the professionalism that's come about of the club in the last number of years is, that there is no complacency, and sort of and I suppose Stephen's a great man, in inspiring that. But what sort of work Because you hear from, you know, professional athletes all the time in you know, at the top level, whether it's, you know, the top level of international football here or in the Premier League or, you know, rugby or any other sport, that it's, you know, very much game by game focus. It's the thing that we always hear from players, is that no, we focus very much on game by game, that there's no specific target. Is there any specific work that's sort of done behind the scenes at Shamrock Rovers to, I suppose, make sure that you guys are so focused on that?
It's not like a specific work that's done, you know. Obviously the manager will be telling us that, like, listen, yeah, it's a great result, but it's done now. It's gone. You can't sit back on it, you know. You obviously got Sligo coming up, and that'd be the main focus. That's why you'd be instilling us all this week, is in to go down to Sligo, prepare in the way that we're gonna play, make sure the tactics is right for that game, and to make sure we perform in that game. But listen, it is like, as a professional, you know how to go about football games, and you can't be complacent to say, oh, we won next week, we'll just show up next week and we'll win, because you'll always come back to bite you. You know, so obviously we got to be focused and fully mentally prepared for Sligo on Saturday. For yourself personally as well, I know you obviously came back to Rovers last summer, having been over at Preston. I'm fairly from what I can recall at the time, it was only a loan move, wasn't it? So yeah. I mean, is that still very much the case, that, you know, that I think, was it up until July maybe of this year? Yeah, that's obviously the case of when I come home. It's up until June, July, something like that, the loan move, you know. So obviously that's obviously I'm aware of that, you know, but I'm not really thinking about what's going to happen when we come to that stage. I'm just obviously focused on getting back on the pitch and enjoying my football, which I was at the start of the season. Obviously it came to a halt, but yeah, I'm fully focused on getting back on the pitch and just enjoying my football, and all that will take care of itself. As a footballer, you don't really think about it, you just got to focus on your football and trying to play as well as you can, and that's all I'm really focused on. So there hasn't been any sort of specific conversations about maybe extending that loan, or whether or not you're going back to Preston then in the summer? I'm not aware of anything at this moment in time.
Okay, and then in terms of, like, because obviously yourself and Jack Byrne, you know, over the space of the last year became, I suppose, one of the first set of League of Ireland players to represent, you know, and to go to Ireland camp in quite a long time. Yeah. An awful lot of people still, after, you know, you scoring those 5 goals, okay, you've got your injury at the minute, but an awful lot of people still tipping that, you know, you might make that the squad coming up for the Slovakia game. Has there been any sort of conversation there at all? Has there been an approach from one of the senior management, whether it's Mick, Robbie or TC?
Oh no, there's been no conversation. If anything, I haven't heard anything regarding that. I'm not even kind of thinking if anything like that. My job is just to fully focus on playing for Shamrock Rovers at this moment in time, and playing as well as I can for them. Listen, whether something comes or something doesn't, you know, you can't really think about things like that, and I'm just focused on Shamrock Rovers and playing as well as I can for them.
It must, though, inspire confidence, though, in your game, that you were recognised and selected, and, you know, as I mentioned, Jack as well. Does that give you that extra bit of a humph in training, in your approach to match weeks? Or
it does, in a way, because of, you know, you've been there before, and you know the feeling of it. You know, it was an unbelievable feeling for me, and a proud moment for me and my family and everything like that. And, you know, having everybody there at the Aviva, obviously away games, and, you know, it does give you that hunger to say, why can't I go and do it again, and to try and drive it, you know. So obviously it will be obviously a dream of mine to go in and do it again, but listen, it all comes down to how well I'm doing at Shamrock Rovers. You just need to keep performing and things and let things take its course, and you don't know what's going to be around the corner for you.
And then you've obviously mentioned the Sligo game this week, going across there after the magnificent run that you're on. Like, I mean, it now nearly becomes a point where other teams are approaching games against Shamrock Rovers with the view of sort of writing the headline that they were the ones to knock Rovers off their perch, because I'm sure it's probably not lost on you guys as Shamrock Rovers players that there's probably an expectation post what happened in the Aviva in November that that you guys are being tipped to challenge Dundalk or even potentially win the league yourselves.
Yeah, it's obviously, I think winning the cup, it brings that expectations, as in Rovers fans, as in probably people outside, to think that Rovers can go on and challenge for the league. But I think Rovers have been challenging for the league in numerous years. They just obviously fell short of it at times. I know the gap has been a little bit big to where the people would say it's still been a big gap, but I think obviously being at Rovers, where them points have been dropped, and they have been dropped in the big games like Dundalk and the Dublin Derbies, and as in Sligo, as in Bohemians, and that, so they're things that we're going to try and put right. But as it is, you can only do that by taking one game at a time. As I say, we're going to Sligo now, and obviously we have won, and probably teams will be the ones we want to be the ones to beat Rovers, but it's down to us to be at every game and fully focused on every game.
Okay, that's perfect.